The best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Yes, it does. And great to have you with us on this Thursday edition of the show. If it's a Thursday, that means David Aardsma, former big league closer, hangs out with us to talk some baseball. We'll have that coming up a little later on. Matter of fact, coming up in just about 10 minutes. Ryan Ballengee hangs out with us as well from Golf News Net. Thoughts with him on the Tour Championship, which gets underway today. Can anybody stop Scottie Scheffler at this point? That is the question. My mic felt low. I had to fix it there. Some football, some WNBA to talk about. If not, then who? NFC East edition today on the show. And we start things in the NFL. Sam Yarnell is here to hang out with us as he always is. And Sam, you know, the latest on the Micah Parsons story comes from Brian Schottenheimer, the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, who was questioned yesterday about whether he thinks he'll have his stud sack man for the opener against the Philadelphia Eagles, 2 weeks from today? And, 2 weeks from today we'll have real NFL football. I just can't. But we're going to have, that matchup in 2 weeks, and asked whether or not he'll have Micah Parsons on the field. He said, well, yeah, I expect that we'll have him on the field. And asked, do you think he's going to have a contract, or a new contract or anything like that? He's like, yeah, I expect we'll have him on the field. And asked what he had for breakfast. He said, yeah, I think we'll have him on the field. So apparently Brian Schottenheimer's stock answer is Micah Parsons will be on the field week 1 for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not so convinced, because the only leverage that Micah Parsons ultimately has is to not play. That's the only leverage ultimately in this that Micah Parsons has, Sam. And if you give that up, then what was all this for? Other than to not get hurt during training camp and preseason games, what was all this for?
Yeah, it feels to me, Jason, like, of all, and it's so funny because there's still multiple key franchise players holding out of their training camps and practices at this point. But the Micah Parsons one just feels different. The Micah Parsons one feels like it just means more. It's like SEC football. With Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys right now, it really does feel like divorce. It doesn't feel like divorce between Trey Hendrickson and Cincinnati, and quite frankly, he may be the one who's more likely to get traded. But it feels like there is just a sour relationship here between the Micah Parsons camp and the Dallas Cowboys. And I think that it's kind of, to a degree, it's an unstoppable force, has met an immovable object, that immovable object being Jerry Jones and his staunch, attitude towards maintaining media attention and maintaining the narrative in his court.
I think it's ego.
And the
I think it's as much
force,
ego. I think it's as much ego as anything at this point with Jerry. I don't even know if it's media attention, because I know there's no such thing as bad press and all that with Jerry, but to me this feels like him taking a stand against the labor, the help, if you will. That's what it kind of feels like for me from Jerry Jones right now. I'm going to stand up to the help.
Well, I think when we talk in 2025, when we talk about media presence and people winning the narrative like Jerry Jones is doing, to me, that is the modern equation of ego building and being egomaniacal in something like this. It's a way of saying it without saying it, if you will. And it does feel like that is what has ruled the situation here on both sides. And Micah Parsons is like seemingly the first player that Jerry Jones has come across that actually knows their self-worth to an extent, and it's showing in these conversations. It's showing in what Jerry Jones is going out and getting behind a microphone and saying, calling him by the wrong name, saying he doesn't even know who his agent is when the agent represents other star players on the team. Like, to me, it just all feeds into this greater feeling of divorce between these two sides, Jason. It feels like the end.
I don't know. I'm not buying the idea that it's the end. These things always eventually work themselves out. You know, you know what the funny part is, and I don't know if there's a bet anywhere on it. If there's a wager anywhere where you can bet it, I'll bet that Micah Parsons is playing week 1. That these two sides get together and somehow Micah Parsons is playing week 1. Because that's the way it always happens with Jerry. Eventually, they always wind up coming around, and both sides will come together, and Jerry will reach out, or Stephen Jones will reach out, or somebody will reach out, and he'll be on the field week 1. If I had to bet on it, that would be my bet. What would you set the line at?
Probably minus 250 to the yes, and then whatever the court, plus 190 to the no.
Okay, fair enough. This crazy
Plus
story.
180. You got to make some decent money off of these gamblers.
And there's Brian Schottenheimer, and he hopes that he'll have Micah Parsons on the field for week 1. Otherwise, he's basically going with one hand tied behind his back against the defending world champions. This crazy story involving Andy Reid that we found out about last night. You're sitting in your office, and all of a sudden, bullets are flying into your office and hitting 15 feet from where you're sitting. First of all, the thing that blows my mind is, how did this just come out now? Like, in a world where nothing is kept secret, other than where Jimmy Hoffa is buried, other than that, there are no secrets in this world. How was this kept secret this long? I'm fascinated by this story. Terrified, but fascinated.
Yeah, terrified, certainly. I don't know. One would think that they waited until after the offseason to let this story come out, maybe perhaps as to not scare free agents away from Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah.
Now, listen, for those of you who haven't spent a lot of time in Kansas City, Missouri, as your boy has over
I have not.
Short life.
Yeah.
Great people, wonderful people in Kansas City, Missouri. But over the years, it has become a little bit more rough around the edges, and it seems like this could be just a one-off kind of thing of this. You read through the articles from local journalists who did a great job covering this story, and it seems like it was an isolated incident, according to the police. They never made any arrests because of it.
That's what's crazy. Nobody got arrested. So the gunman is still out. The gunman is still out there.
Yeah. Luckily, I don't think they were trying to get near Andy Reid with all of this, but yeah, really, if I'm an NFL player, Kansas City's getting crossed off my list of free agency destinations. Yeah. I don't care about the Lombardis.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a scary story though, and I mean now he has bulletproof glass, literally in his office.
How many NFL head coaches do you think have bulletproof glass in their office?
Bulletproof glass in his office. It's absolutely insane. A whole bunch more to talk about on this Thursday edition of Sports Wrap. Welcome back to this Thursday edition of Sports Wrap. Time to talk some baseball. We do it every Thursday here on the show with David Aardsma, the former big league reliever, closer. Hangs out with us on the program. Are you chewing gum? Are you literally chewing gum?
I have a tendency to do that. I don't know why. It's like, well, it's one of those nervous not like nervous tics. It's just you just bored. You do something with your mouth. Like
I feel like the scene in Birdcage when the guy's rehearsing on stage and he's chewing gum. He's chewing gum.
That's a great movie. Underrated.
It's tremendous. So I got a bunch of baseball to get to with you. First of all, from the pitching perspective, I want to get your thoughts on the Pirates' decision to call up Bubba Chandler at this stage of the season. You've got 5 weeks left. Service time issues come into play here. He's obviously, one of the biggest arms in baseball, certainly the biggest arm in their organization, not named Paul Skeens. What do you make of the decision to bring him up now? What do they get out of it?
There's a lot of interesting stuff here, right? So obviously he's the number 4 prospect in all of baseball, number 1 pitching prospect in the Pirates organization. The dude's a stud. This Pirates franchise has been developing pitching left and right. They can't get a hitter to save their lives, but they're developing these pitchers, and it's crazy. So they're calling him up, which is great. But he had a 4 ERA in AAA. He wasn't pitching good. Almost a 6 ERA since June. This almost might be a hey, let's get him a change of scenery. Let's get him to the big leagues. We know he's really good. He started the year off really, really, really good. So it might be an idea of like, all right, let's just see if something clicks. Let's see if maybe even a big league level clicks for him and something kind of changes, because it's an interesting spot. Usually you earn your way up by dominating, by pitching really well, not just being a prospect. But right now it almost feels like they just want to see something different and see if he changes and see if he is as good as he was early this year. And it might just be the AAA, just that life is tough, and it might be just something different. But we do know the guy's got great stuff. We know he can pitch. We know he's a stud. Can he pitch at this level? Right now he's not pitching like it, though.
How hard is it to be a guy like Paul Skeens and be as great as you are on a team as bad as the Pirates? Like, how difficult is that to still be able to command the strike zone the way he does, to be able to dominate hitters, to be able to just keep yourself mentally in a state of mind, to be that dominant on a team that isn't? Like, I know, I think it's one of the things that goes understated or undersaid when it comes to what he's accomplishing right now.
There's a couple interesting things with that. It is extremely tough when you're on a 54-74 team and you're just losing every single game. But the moment the season started, you know you weren't going to win. But the culture of pitching and baseball has changed. These players are playing for themselves. They've played for themselves basically their whole careers. When you talk about the advent of all these tournaments, the advent of all these showcases, these kids are traveling showcases their entire lives. So they're not necessarily used to being on one team, and that team is your team, and you're playing for the front of the jersey. So you start playing for yourself. And so I think we're going to see a whole new generation of players that are more okay with this, because it's about the name on the back and more about than less on the name on the front. But you're still the head of the front of the franchise, and it gets draining. It's easy early on in your career, but if this continues, it's going to get extremely draining and frustrating and tough for him, and he's going to feel like one run is a failure, and it's not. The dude has 2.1 ERA on a season. That is unfair and ridiculous. He deserves to be in a playoff run. Just he isn't, because he's a Pirate.
It's funny you say that. Have you been watching the Little League World Series?
Yes, I've been on it a little bit. We have a fantasy football team league, and our draft is based upon the Little League World Series. Asia Pacific, let's go.
I ask because you were talking about playing for the front of the jersey and kids playing for themselves and that sort of thing. I heard them say yesterday that there was a 12-year-old on Aruba, I believe, that was already being scouted by the Dodgers at 12 years old.
Don't throw the Dodgers out there. Been scouted by everybody. I've actually been told very clearly that he is already on radars of every single team.
He's 12 years old.
The pitcher for Asia Pacific hit 82 miles an hour. That is equivalent to 107 reaction
David,
time.
he's 12 years old.
And they sign at 15.
16. I thought it was 16, right?
The paper gets signed at 16. They are signing at 15. And the kid is actually probably 13, knowing that you were 12 when you signed up for the league and you started in February, and now you're probably 13. He's 2 years away from actually agreeing to terms with a kind of contract. So it's not that far off. It is crazy, but you got to understand. What does scouting a 13-year-old mean? That means you're on the radar. You've paid attention. You're going to events and seeing him and other kids play amongst the ages, and you look at talent and you go, that's it. He has to be on our radar, because in 2 years, that's the dude. All they're doing is just paying attention. They wrote a book on him. They wrote him up in the system. These kids, this is what it should be for those countries. Like, if that's what it is, I don't like it, but that's what it is.
Yeah, I don't like it.
But these guys are still on the radar, because you have to, that's your job, is to pay attention to talent no matter what the age.
Yeah, I don't like it. And I mean, I see the kids chasing velocity at that level. You know, how hard some of these guys are throwing.
Throwing curveballs, 50% curveballs at 12 from 46 feet away.
12 to 6 breaking balls.
Like
12 to 6 breaking balls, too. Like, oh, my goodness. It blows my mind.
You don't see a whole lot of pitchers coming out of the Little League World Series in the big leagues.
No, you really don't.
You don't. You just don't.
No, I agree. I just had to get your thoughts on it because we asked Brian Kenny about it yesterday. He said he doesn't watch, but I was curious as a baseball guy, and I know as you coach your own travel teams and things like that. So I figured you would be watching, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. In the last minute of this segment, I am of the mindset that right now everything is going to be geared towards just who's playing the best when we get to the end of September. I don't care. I mean, I care what's going on right now. We have to talk about it, but it just feels like to me it's going to be whoever gets hot late. Am I wrong?
I think when it's the Dodgers and kind of everybody else.
I don't know about that. I'm still not sold on that.
I am still the Dodgers. Like that, their 1-26 is better than everybody else. It just is what it is, and they're going to be better. They don't need to have everybody healthy. They just need to be enough healthy. But it's always that case a lot of times, a lot of the years. This year just feels like because of that, because you're having these teams on weird runs, good and bad. You know, the Yankees were on a horrible run, and now they don't look all that bad, right? All of a sudden, they went 4 in a row, and they're pretty decent. But you're getting these drama from every team. There's never one team that is just, you're like, wow, they're perfect on every level. Even the Dodgers are seeing problems. The Yankees are seeing problems. Mets, Phillies. I mean, we all love the Milwaukee bandwagon. But do they have the talent to win a meaningful playoff game? I don't know.
Yeah. Brian Kenny thinks they do. I'll still believe it when I see it. We got more with David Aardsma, former big league reliever and closer on SportsWrap. Don't go anywhere. We continue the conversation on this Thursday, and we love talking baseball with David Aardsma, the former big league reliever, closer, hangs out with us. One of my favorite days of the week on this program. Get them all to myself today. I mentioned former Yankee as well because the Yankees are in the news, and look, they're actually playing better baseball. They've won 4 in a row, like 8 of 10, something like that. They scored 9 runs, hit 9 home runs for the second time this season on Tuesday, which is insane that they've done that twice this year. And I will continue to say Giancarlo Stanton's going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's getting to 500 home runs, and he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. I continue to fight with everybody on this, but you're just not paying attention if you don't think Giancarlo Stanton is going to get to 500 home runs and be a Hall of Famer. Bigger debate about whether or not Aaron Judge winds up winning MVP right now. I think Cal Raleigh's got a really good case for it. But all that being said, I wanted to get your thoughts on Aaron Judge and this situation with Aaron Boone, where we get Aaron Boone coming out yesterday, and a story comes out yesterday afternoon, and it says Aaron Boone says that Aaron Judge just isn't likely to throw or be back to normal this year. It's really uncertain whether or not he'll play again in the outfield this year. And then 2 hours later, Aaron Judge comes out and speaks to reporters and says, I don't know where he's getting that. He hasn't seen me throw in 2 weeks. And then Aaron Boone has to come out and re-clarify his comments a little while later, and I get it, and my thoughts exactly, David, and say, well, I may have overstated it a little bit. This is a bad look for Aaron Boone. I mean, there's just no way to get around it.
No way to get around it. And we've talked about this a lot on the show throughout the whole season. Is Aaron Boone on the hot seat? Is he going to get fired throughout the year and all this stuff when they went on that really long cold streak? And I kept saying no. But he will get fired at the end of the year. Mark this. This is the beginning of these type of conversations, these things that happen when you're a manager, when you're not having conversations with the players and your superstar kind of calls you out on that. This is the beginning of the end. There's no doubt all the frustration, everything Aaron Boone's gone through, Yankee fans have gone through. I think this relationship's coming to an end. But so understand how every day works in the clubhouse. As a manager, you're having meetings with your rehab staff, your training staff, whatever doctors you need, all your coaches, etc. You're having these meetings. You have it every day at the beginning of the day, and then you're having it again with your media people to make sure that you're all on the same page and the messaging is the same, and you know everything that's happening with your team, who should be playing, who's hurt, etc., etc., etc. So it means a couple things. It means either Aaron Boone just made up and started talking about it. It means they're not talking about Aaron Judge, which I highly doubt, or it means the training staff told him that he is not going to be 100% when he goes out there and starts throwing. But when you have Aaron Judge, and you're going to speak about Aaron Judge's movements and how his arm looks and how he feels and how he's going to be when he gets out there on the field, I suggest to Aaron Boone, maybe talk to Aaron Judge first. But get his opinion. Walk him in there and say, hey, these people are going to talk about it. Or you know what? be a great manager and say no comment. Like, hey, let's see where he ends up when he's out here. He could be 100%. He might not be. Let's find out. But Aaron Judge is too big of a piece to not be out there watching. I cannot imagine in a scenario in the world in 2025, this isn't 1990, in 2025, that Kevin Cash or some of these other great managers, Dave Roberts, are not out there watching his superstar MVP throw on his rehab. At least once a week, we're walking out with the training staff and just stroking his ego a little bit. Hey, Aaron, you look great, man. Great job. And walk by and give a little flyby. Because I've been there. I've been these great managers do the flybys. Terry Francona was the flyby king, man. I didn't matter to him. I was just some guy, and he's still coming by and going, David, what's going on? How's the family? How's Andrea? All this stuff. So Aaron Boone is missing on his number one priority as a coach, which is being a coach and being that guy, being their friend. They didn't pick Aaron Judge to be a strategy guy. They picked him to be everybody's friend, and he's missing that, which is the number one sign that this guy is gone.
Rob Manfred made news during the Little League Classic by talking about expansion and how realignment could also come as a result of that. And there are a lot of varying opinions around baseball. Some people like it, some people don't. I know people in New York are not crazy about what it could mean for some of the natural rivalries there. What do you think of what Rob Manfred is proposing here? And when you talk about two expansion teams, where do you think they're going?
Where I think they're going, I think there's no doubt it's going to be Nashville. That's the easiest one. That is such a baseball-centered place, a great city, huge travel city. Everybody's coming there. That's without a doubt. And I think the other one, like, forget Salt Lake City, forget Portland. Portland, no. Nothing against Portland. It is not a baseball-centered town. Salt Lake City, I don't think there's enough around it. There's no other city even remotely close. And Las Vegas is getting a team, and that's 10 hours away. That's the closest major city, 10 hours away. Salt Lake City is just not a smart move for Major League Baseball. Charlotte, if there's another team, Charlotte, or if you want to go crazy, San Juan or Mexico
Montreal. Give me Montreal.
Not a baseball place. It's already failed once. You already had a shot for a million reasons it failed. But Charlotte, that Charlotte area is baseball. Again, it's Braves country, but Braves had a lot of country they can give up. The only issue for me is that gives up minor league baseball. That's their hub. That's their center of minor league baseball, and you're going to give up a lot of towns are going to lose their share of that pie. But those are the two baseball places. But now realignment. I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. The greatest rivalries we have in baseball are the Cubs and St. Louis, the Dodgers, and right now San Diego or even San Francisco, whichever, take your pick, and the Yankees, Red Sox, and they're all in the same divisions, and they're all natural rivals together. The Mets Yankees are just a created rivalry, right? That we want. That was never a rivalry until 1996. And the White Sox Cubs is not a great rivalry in general, but it's still a good rivalry. And so let's stop forgetting. Let's step back and say, like, these aren't the biggest rivalries in baseball. We make them out to be. So the realignment itself, I have no problem with at all. I do have a problem with losing National League and American League, and I have a bigger problem with, and this is hopefully somebody's out here watching this and figuring this out, is when you've got the Yankees and the Yankees and the Mets. When you go to a Mets game, you get to see a whole different group of teams come through town. Yankees team, you get a whole different group of teams coming to town. But now you're getting rid of that in the same city, which could become a huge issue. So if I'm a fan, why would I go to one or the other? Like, if I'm in LA, I have to go to the Angels games to go see my favorite team, or I got to go Dodgers team games to go see my team. So I get a pick, and now you're taking that away. That's my biggest issue with this. You're taking away the reason to go to these cities because I've got two teams to choose from now. By the way, just to revisit something we were just talking about, if Aaron Boone's not the manager of the Yankees next year, who is? I only got 30 seconds. I know. You got 15 Mark
seconds.
Player, whoever's the best player to retire this season, just throw him in there.
Don Mattingly. Give me Don Mattingly.
Pujols might be an interesting one. Don Mattingly with Albert Pujols as bench coach, or Albert Pujols with Don Mattingly as bench coach might be an interesting thing.
David Aardsma does a terrific job on all things baseball. I appreciate you, my friend. Be well. We'll talk next week.
Thank you.
Coming up in 10 minutes, our latest installment of If Not Then Who, the NFC East edition. We've gone through the AFC, and we'll get to the NFC starting today. You know what else is starting today? The Tour Championship. And I have to admit, Ryan Ballengee of Golf News Net, I'm not typically a huge fan. The FedEx Cup, playoffs and all that stuff. It's this manufactured thing that the PGA Tour does to try and get people excited about events that take place after all the majors are done, and that's fine. I generally don't get very excited for it. This year I am, for two reasons. One, Scottie Scheffler's had this amazing run and this amazing season, and I want to see if he can finish it off. And the other thing is, we're in a place now that we haven't been since the peak years of Tiger, and that is asking the question, Scheffler versus the field. Can anybody beat him right now, Ryan? So as you look at this field and the events beginning today, and by the time most people watch it, the first round will be underway or finished. Is there anybody out there that you point to that can beat Scottie Scheffler in this event?
Probably Rory McIlroy is your number one guess, right? And he's the second best player this year.
Yeah, but he hasn't won anything since the Masters. He's been so. Ugh.
I mean, yeah, he did get inspired to play at the Open Championship. Gave a good run in his home country. I feel like right now that's kind of where he is when he feels it, he can play really well. When he doesn't, he's just kind of basking in being a career Grand Slam winner.
He loves this course, though. He loves this course.
Correct. And that's why I think he's got a chance, and we'll put it in a good effort this week, because he has won the FedEx Cup here, 3 times, and he just banks a whole lot of money here. So he comes here with very good feelings. He knows he doesn't have the starting strokes thing that they had the last 5 years. Yeah. So that's out the window. 6 years out the window. So he doesn't have to overcome a couple of shots at the outset. They're just starting from parity, starting like any other golf tournament. So, I think you would point to him just naturally. But then other than that, maybe a Victor Hovland, who seems to like this place. Maybe a Justin Thomas, who has played well here, but seems kind of lost a little bit at the moment. And then maybe a Sam Burns, who has played very well in the back half of this season, especially the last couple of months, and really tends to thrive in these southern courses.
How do you stack up, when you compare this season from Scottie Scheffler against some of the all-time great seasons that we've seen, especially considering he started off the year with the weird hand injury, the freak accident that kind of sidelined him early on, which may have knocked a couple of more wins off his ledger, if you will. How do you stack this up against some of the all-time great seasons?
I mean, you kind of have to weight it a little bit stronger because he's won multiple majors, right? And I think a multiple major season makes it better than what he did last year, winning 9 times, right? But it's so hard because what he won, and this is the knock on Scheffler, I guess, if anything, is that he tends to win outside the majors. He plays a schedule of limited field events. That's just how it works now, right? He plays most of his tournaments in 78 player or fewer fields. They're against the best players, but he's not beating full fields of 144 and 156. So that might be the knock on him at all. But I think it's probably still short of, obviously short of Tiger's 3 major season of 2000, right? But probably in that time span of Tiger's career, let's say to the present day, it's probably the 3rd best season.
Wow.
Maybe the 4th, depending on how you feel about what he did last year, I guess. And that's pretty wild to think about, that he accomplished all of those things with McIlroy winning the Masters, the most famous golf tournament in the world, and the 5th biggest tournament in golf, the Players Championship, in the same season. And he still is far and away better than everybody else. He is so far ahead in the official world golf ranking. He has, basically to get nerdy, he has a ranking that even almost exceeds Tiger at his peak, if it was all kind of the same, which is kind of crazy, to show you how dominant he is over everyone else. But then people used to say, okay, well, Tiger had no real competition compared to Jack. Well, what's Scottie's competition right now? Is it Rory McIlroy? No one on Liv's playing anything significant in the majors. Braun was pretty good at the Open, I guess. But other than that, even the Liv guys aren't adding anything to the Masters piece. It just kind of feels like Scottie's steamrolling everybody. And I think people have kind of finally bought into what that means for him being an all-time great.
One last thing before we go. I only got a couple of minutes here. There is talk that big changes are coming to the PGA Tour next year with new leadership coming in. They've got this, these rules changes things. Tiger Woods is going to be part of the face of that committee in terms of how they how they reconstitute golf from a rules standpoint. What is the biggest change you are expecting to see?
The thing that most people won't notice, but is important to me, is open qualifiers going away kind of by half. You used to have Monday tournaments where you get 4 spots or 3 or 4 spots into the field that week, and that was a great opportunity for some lesser-known stories to have a chance and occasionally really shine. Those are going away by about, like I said, by about 50%, those opportunities. The other thing is reducing the number of fully exempt players from 125, that's been the number since 1983, when they started the all-exempt tour, down to 100. So there aren't going to be as many players who you're guaranteed to see in every regular event if they want to play. And that's going to make the competitive pipeline of the PGA Tour much more interesting on the back end, because you're going to have this mix of young players trying to come up through the Korn Ferry Tour, the developmental circuit. You're going to have veterans who kind of lost their way, guys who have had success for whatever reason just aren't finding it right now. And I think that scrap heap pile that will try to get back into that top 70, who are trying to get in that top 50, who are trying to get in that top 30, I think creates a much tighter set of players to look at, and it really helps.
I only got 10 seconds. Scottie wins the Tour Championship?
How can you not bet against him?
I like the odds on Rory from a betting friendly number. I like the number on Rory. I'll bet.
I like
him.
a whole lot more than even money, which is basically what Scottie is at this point.
Ryan Ballengee, Golf News Net. Always appreciate you, my friend.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it.
All right. Good to have you with us on this Thursday edition of Sports Wrap. Odds and Ends wraps it up in 10 minutes with Paigey Buckets. Whew. She is a beast, and I mean that in the kindest way possible. Sam Yarnell, we are through the AFC in our series that we are running here on the show leading up to the start of the NFL season. It's called If Not, Then Who? It's an exercise where we basically go through the teams in a given division and ask the question, if not the betting favorite in the division, then who? We've run through the AFC, relatively unscathed, I think. And now we are in the NFC, and we begin today with the NFC East. And in the NFC East, the Philadelphia Eagles are your favorites. They are your favorites at minus 135 as of right now on FanDuel. The Washington Commanders come in at plus 220. The Dallas Cowboys are plus 550. I wonder if that number changes the moment Micah Parsons commits to week 1. Like, is that a bargain right now at plus 550? It could be. And the Giants, the Jackson Darts, let's go at 22-1. So Sam Yarnell, I ask you the same question I have asked you the previous 4 shows. If not the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC East, then who?
Anybody.
No, come on.
Anybody. You can't
use that answer again.
I will get to my answer eventually, but the fact of the matter with this division is that since 2003, 2004, we haven't had a back-to-back winner in this division. So Do you think for the first time in 22 years, we're going to have a back-to-back winner? Call me crazy. I'm going to say no. A couple of things I don't like about this Philadelphia Eagles team this year, right? Obviously, the sticking out like a sore thumb aspect of it is the Saquon Barkley thing, right? Everybody knows the history of what multiple parts of Saquon Barkley's last season will contribute to this season. You get over 400 carries in a season, you fall off a cliff. The next season, you get over 2,000 yards in a season, you're going to struggle to get back to 1,500 the next year. So I'm selling Saquon Barkley stock wherever I have it. I think the Landon Dickerson injury is a massively underrated injury to the most important element of this entire 22-man unit, right? Of both sides of the ball, the offensive line is the heartbeat of this Philadelphia Eagles team. It is the reason that they are so successful. And now you're taking one of your most accomplished offensive linemen and having them deal with a meniscus injury that, is something very tough for an offensive lineman to feel the wear and tear of throughout an 18-game season. Couple that with the fact that you've got another team in this division coming off of an NFC championship berth, right? And on top of that, you've got one of, and I hate that I'm saying this about Jerry Jones' football team, you have got one of the most criminally underrated football teams in the land in this division as well. So yes, I am fearful for the Philadelphia Eagles, not just winning this division, Jason. I'm fearful that they'll make the playoffs again this year. This is a completely different defense than we saw last year. And I tried to tell people this during the postseason last year and after we were doing our postmortems from the Super Bowl. You are never, ever, ever going to see a football team in the National Football League with the current budgetary restrictions built the way they are that is as talented or quite frankly as good as the Philadelphia Eagles were last season. The amount of contracts that they ran into being hits and the amount of changes that they suffered on that defense, you just can't redo it.
No. I would tend to agree with a lot of what you're saying. I do think Washington is the team in that division that is most likely to win. I'll cut right to the chase. I think it's the Commanders. If you're talking about who winds up winning that division, if you don't believe in Philadelphia, I still am. And even with Micah Parsons, I think that Dallas defense is suspect. I think they're going to play a lot like Cincinnati, where they're going to have to try and outscore teams every week, and that is a lot to ask when you have a quarterback like Dak Prescott, who we all seem to forget, likes to turn the football over a lot. And it's hard to win when you can't win the turnover battle. And if you can't turn it over on defense, and you got a guy at quarterback that's going to turn it over offensively, that's not a good combination. So I know there are some people like yourself, and I know you are not alone in this boat, that feel Dallas could, kind of sneak up on some people. However, a team like the Dallas Cowboys, America's team, sneaks up on anybody. But to me, I just think there's still too many things working against, the way this roster is built right now for them to be the team that supplants Philadelphia, if you believe that another team is going to win this division that you mentioned. And that's a great fact, by the way. If this were like around the horn, we'd be going deep, deep, deep. We'd be giving Tony Reale would be throwing points your way. We didn't mention the New York Giants, the Flying Jackson Darts. They've got a brutal schedule. I see people trying to make the argument that the Giants could win 7 games this year. I don't see it. With the combination
What's
of
the point?
And not even just that. I just don't understand. I don't know at what point we're going to see Jackson Dart this year, but we know we will see Jackson Dart at some point this year. And there's going to be a learning curve to playing at the NFL level. I'd be shocked if this Giants team was a 7-win team. I don't know what their current projection is when you talk about win totals. But I don't see the Giants win. And I'm a Giants fan. You see the helmet behind me here. Let's see. The most popular total on the Giants is minus 120, right? 5.5. Yeah, 5.5. Plus 100 over and juice to the under at minus 120. So that's
the Giants are actually, as weird as it is to say, in a good spot going forward. They're not going to win a lot this year, and that's okay. Brian Daboll knows what to do with a young quarterback. I like where they're headed.
Well, I just wonder if he'll be the head coach to lead this turnaround. That still remains to be seen with him and Joe Schoen. All right, we're coming back with odds and ends, and a big note from the WNBA next. All right, it's just about time to put the wraps on this Thursday show. Don't forget, Fridays means Tino Patino for a NASCAR Friday and the final race of the regular season in NASCAR, which would be the race in Daytona. There are 2 spots open left in the playoffs because you've had 14 different winners this year. So 2 spots remain. Going to be wild to see everybody either A, trying to obviously win the race or try to get one of those last 2 playoff spots, which really only 3 drivers have a legitimate shot at. So that'll be fun to talk about on tomorrow's show. Robert Littall will be here, the founder of Black Sports Online, to recap some of the top stories of the week. Before we go, a couple of reminders. If you have not done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast. It's available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. That includes Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon. Anywhere you get a podcast, you can listen to this show. The TV version of the show, just audio, 45 minutes commercial-free, Monday through Friday on those podcasting platforms and any podcasting platform. In addition to being able to watch us on over 270 affiliates, and that number is going to grow by the time we get to the start of football season. In addition to being able to watch us on those TV and broadcast affiliates, Canada and the U.S., you can also watch us on Spotify, or you can watch us on our Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. It's called the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, so it's easy to remember. Go there, check it out. Go and get clips from the show, entire shows, 45 minutes commercial-free Monday through Friday. A lot of times it's there before it shows up on TV affiliates as well. So if you're really in a rush and want to see what we have to say, go and check that out as well. And without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen, time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, man, oh man, was Paige Becker special last night. 17 of 21 shooting, 44 points, master of the mid-range Pagey buckets, the former UConn Husky lighting it up in a Dallas Wings loss in Los Angeles, 81-80. Kelsey Plum hits the game winner there in Los Angeles. But on the biggest stage, in front of the biggest crowds, the brightest lights, Paige Beckers just continues to grow in front of our eyes, Sam Yarnell. And look, I said this a couple of weeks ago on this show before she was exploding for 44 points. I think she winds up being better. And my friend Robin Lundberg, who writes about women's basketball for SI, disagrees with me on this. I think there is a shot she winds up being better than our friend Caitlin Clark. I really do. I think she's certainly going to be a more prolific scorer. And I think she will grow in terms of distributing the basketball for the mere fact that people are going to start catching on to how good she is. She's going to start seeing more double teams. I also think she is more physically imposing than Caitlin Clark. I think she has a little more size. And she said something in the postgame that really resonated with me, and it's this. Nobody knows how to defend the mid-range. It's that lost art that she has mastered that teams still haven't figured out how to defend the mid-range.
Well, we could get into the analytics of basketball, and I could tell you that, yeah, no one defends the mid-range Paige Beckers because it's truly the most inefficient shot in basketball and almost as valuable as a miss. But here's the reality of it, right? I in terms of the debate that you're having with yourself, I will fall on Robin Lundberg's side. I do think Caitlin is more special. Paige Beckers is very physically talented. There's no doubt about it. And when she has on night shooting the basketball, this is what happens, right? Like, this is what happens when a shooter gets hot. But she's not even shooting 90% from the free throw line this year, right? The shooting has not been there.
What is she shooting from the free throw line?
On a large scale.
What is she shooting from the
80s,
in the 80s? Come on.
Yeah, she's shooting 30% from three, 33% from three. She's shooting 47% from the field. I think that there is definitely an archetype that she is playing to, 100%. But there's a lot of room to grow in that archetype.
She's averaging 20 a game in her rookie season on a craptastic team.
Well, I think that her being on a, as you say, craptastic team does play into the fact that she's scoring 20 points a game, right? Listen, I'm not saying that Paige Beckers is going to be a bad WNBA player. No. I just don't think that she is going to be the best player in the WNBA like I do think Caitlin Clark will be. But that said, like, neither of them are the best right now. And Afisha Collier blows them both out of the water, right? Wow. Asia Wilson blows them both out of the water. I mean, listen.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the problem, and we don't have a lot of time, so I want to play this out with you real quick. I would be more likely to go watch a game because of the style of Paige Beckers than I would Fee. or the style of, some of these other players. I would be more like, I want to watch somebody fill it up. I want to watch Stephen Curry just launching threes from, the top of the key. I'm telling you, I want to watch her play. And I can't say that about a lot of WNBA players where it can be kind of clunky. And to me, I want to watch her. I want to watch her every night. She's going to be on TV a lot next year. Get ready for it. You're going to get a lot of Pagey buckets. A lot of Pagey buckets. We got to go. Otherwise, we'd be flushing this out some more. That's Sam. Thanks to David Aardsma, Ryan Ballengee, you for watching. We'll see you all back here on Friday.